Hi, my name's Izzy Higgins, and I'm going to be giving a speech on how to shoot a bow and kind of my experience with that. To start with, I started in high school as a freshman. Our school had just gotten an archery team, so everything was pretty new for all of us. We started with the National Archery in the Schools program. Their program kind of started us off on how to shoot a bow, what were the proper safety procedures, and how to deal with tournaments and that kind of stuff. So through their program, we began with the 12 steps to shooting a bow, which I found on genesisbow.com. The first step is going to be your stance. So you need to have an open stance when shooting. If you're right-handed like me, your left foot is going to be facing downrange, while your right foot is going to be right out in front of you. An open stance help you to have ease of access to move your hips when you're shooting, which will definitely help you improve your score. Next, you're going to need to nock. So to nock your arrow, you're just going to take it and stick it on the bowstring. There is a nock indicator on our bows. There was. It's just a small piece of plastic that you nock right below. Next, you're going to set your draw hand. So this is the hand that's going to draw back the bowstring. For our program, we used 3 fingers, and we used the first knuckle to put our fingers on to pull it back. And we did that right below the arrow. Next, you're going to set your bow hand. This is actually pretty important, which I didn't realize at first. When I first started, I had a really strong grip on my bow, which ended up being very bad because it made my whole bow move whenever I was trying to shoot. So you need to have a really relaxed grip, almost to the point where you're afraid of dropping your bow, but you always catch it, so it's all good. Next, you're going to do pre-draw. During this step, you're actually going to put your bow up in the air without drawing it. To do this, it kind of helps you to focus so that you can shoot better. Next, you're going to draw, which is just where you pull the bowstring back. And then the step after that, it's going to be anchoring. For anchoring is when you pull back the bow or the string to a certain spot. For our program, we pulled it back to the corner of our mouth, and then we would tilt our head so that our nose barely touched the bowstring. Next is going to be aim. For aim, it's not quite as easy as you think. You'd think you just aim at the middle, but our bows didn't have sights on them, which was the hard part of the tournament. For me, I had to aim a little bit below the bullseye, just because my sight wasn't quite right. Next is shot setup. So during this, you kind of take a deep breath, and then you prepare yourself to shoot. You make sure that your aim is staying steady, and that way you can kind of relax a little bit right before you shoot. Next, you shoot. So you just let go, which leads to the follow through. So to follow through, you pull your hand back past your face, and you put your shoulder blades together at the back. And then after that, you reflect. So you'll look at where your arrow went, maybe how you can make minor adjustments to get it more towards the middle. Next, I want to talk about the NASP program, which I found on esdf.org. They've had 7.5 million youth participate in this program. It's all over the world, actually, in the United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, just pretty much almost anywhere. They've had over 9,000 schools participate in this program, which I think was pretty awesome. Next, I want to talk about common mistakes that are found in archery. I found these on archery360.com. The first one I actually had a problem with, which was elbow rotation. Whenever I first started shooting, my elbow would rotate out, so it would actually be hit by the arrow every time I shot, which took a lot of focus and a lot of practice to learn how to rotate my elbow back in, that way I didn't hit it. Next is having a consistent anchor point. If you don't have a consistent anchor point, your arrows are not going to be consistent in their grouping, which will obviously not help you get a good score. Next is a consistent stance. You have to try to have the same stance every time you shoot, that way you know that you're not going to mess up your score. You kind of have to keep the same stance so that you can get the good score. Next is focus. You have to stay focused through the whole thing. There's 6 rounds of shooting for each tournament. I know that I struggled my first tournament because I would shoot a bad arrow or two, and I would completely lose my focus because I would be mad and I was downgrading myself. because I wasn't doing very well. Finally, I just kind of want to talk about how my high school did it. My first year, we ended up actually getting to go to all the tournaments just because it was our first year and we were new to everything. By my senior year, we had made it to nationals, which was the farthest we had ever gotten my whole high school career. And then the year after that, they actually ended up going to World, which was pretty awesome. Finally, this was the hardest sport I've ever had to learn. It was very challenging and it required a lot of practice and a lot of focus. It was very difficult, but I'm so very glad that I did it because it was so fun. And that was my speech on how to shoot a bow and my experiences with it. Thank you.